Start with item 5, closed session report. The board approved a request to end a job share for the 24-25 school year. It's PE 24-25-2. And conference with legal counsel information received. And next up is the patriotic exercise. Don't have anyone specifically doing this, right? Okay. Why don't we do the Pledge of Allegiance then? We're going to the screen. We'll face the screen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, item 7, roll call. Trustee Mudd?
Here.
Trustee Gulam-Hussain?
Here.
Trustee Wong?
Here.
Trustee DeVoy? Here. I'm here, all 5. Next up is approval of the agenda.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. Next up is any public statements related to agenda items.
There are none, President Brown.
Okay. Statement of superintendent.
Good evening. Thank you to everyone for being here. It's nice to see everyone. It has been a busy summer. We have hit the ground running. We have hired an amazing new Hoover principal who has kept everybody busy. We're excited to have a new assistant superintendent up here at the dais that we'll talk a little bit about later. I had the pleasure of joining everyone at the San Mateo Family Justice Center Community Forum, where we talked about building a one-stop shop for people that might be vulnerable, especially around domestic violence, to come in and receive support and have to tell their story once, which I thought was very valuable. And thank you to Trustee Wong for making sure that educators and other people were at the table to be able to share stories. That was very important. We had exciting times with negotiations that we're bringing forward tonight, and really appreciate our partnerships with the Burlingame Education Association, and look forward to beginning again with our California School Educator Association with our classified support staff. I had the honor of also judging our Golden Bell. So Golden Bell Awards are through the California School Boards Association. Mr. Preveo's school, Roosevelt School, was a recipient last year, and so superintendents are chosen to read all the applications. And I had the honor of getting to do that for the state of California this year. Lots of innovative schools, but it made me think that we do a lot of cool things and we need to apply for more awards. So we will be doing that this year. We rounded out last week with 2 days of administrative retreats. It was a lot of fun. It was great getting to know our new administrators and see some of their skills that we had no idea that they had. Some physical skills too that we won't share pictures of, but just a lot of fun getting to see what people's goals and commitments are to Burlingame, and looking at building what we're now calling our dream team of 24-25. We also spent time with the Burlingame Police Department and San Mateo County Office of Ed as we start to onboard our Stop It, which is going to be our anonymous reporting through text messages that we will be training all of our 4th through 8th graders to use. We're really looking forward to that. We also worked through our Performance Matters training for all of our administrators, which is our online dashboard that gives milieu or in the moment access to any data on our students. So academic data, behavioral data, social emotional data, and attendance data. And we're really looking forward to taking that forward. We are also looking forward to our professional learning day on Monday with all of our staff coming back at our welcome back. Any CSEA members that are listening, if it is not a paid mandatory workday for you, we are happy to pay you to attend, because there will be lots of wonderful learning events for you. And we are also very thankful for our community partners champions who offer free daycare for any staff members, TK through 6th grade, who have students. So we look forward to having that. And we will round that day out. We'd love to invite the board at 3 o'clock. We will have in the quad, we will have Pauletas and frutas, and we will have a special band playing Lemon Thief with our own trustee Wong, to celebrate our big day. So please come and celebrate with us a great day of learning. So that's all I have for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, statements of board members. Lisa, start with you.
I don't have a whole lot to say other than welcome back. I hope everyone had a great summer and just a big welcome to all of our new staff and employees that are joining us, and congratulations to staff that's moving in to new and exciting positions. And thank you to all of our employees that have been here all summer long, keeping us up and running. And I hope everyone has a great school year. Oh, sorry, one more thing. For those of you that were here at our last meeting, you may have seen that we moved forward with our parcel, working to pass a parcel tax. And for anyone that might be interested in volunteering on that campaign, please reach out to Jennifer Faber.
Right, Sarah?
Nothing from me. I can't believe that summer is over, so
So yes, welcome back from summer, and I just want to give a shout out to BSD and particularly the music program. My second child is about to go off to college, and she's moving into the dorms at UC Berkeley next week. And she got accepted into the marching band, and she plays clarinet, never took a private lesson, only did clarinet through BSD, first Mrs. Prater, and then teachers at BIS. And so it's, you know, a testament to how awesome we are in our music program that, you know, our kids move on and even play music in college. So that's all I had to say.
Yeah.
I'll just welcome everyone and welcome to Matt. Congratulations. Nice to see you.
Great. I don't have anything to add to what's been said, so welcome back, everyone. All right, next up is the consent agenda, and I'll quickly read this. For most of you watching probably have heard our meetings before, but the consent agenda is how we consolidate many items that are considered by this board and staff to be routine. All the items require approval but do not need discussion in our view. Trustees have reviewed all the items in advance of the meeting. Members of the board, staff, or public are able to request specific items to be discussed and removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda, including discussion. The superintendent and the staff recommend approval of all consent items. Movement of any suggested consent items is appropriate at this time. All right, great. Can we have a motion to approve consent?
I'll move to approve.
Well, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 5-0. All right, so we'll move to item 13, which is the education portion. 13A is the equity and diversity resolution.
So, good evening, everybody. I am honored to bring forward the Justice and Equity, Diversity and Inclusion resolution. This is something that we bring every year. It really is going to set the tone for us this year as we go through our meetings and look at the data for all of our underrepresented and overrepresented groups in all of our work. So it's really a special resolution. So I'm bringing it forward. So would someone care to read the resolution?
I'll read it.
Great.
Equity and Diversity Resolution number 2024/25-5, whereas the strength and richness of our community is in its diversity. The Board of Trustees affirms its commitment to continuing the district's systemic efforts to build a society free of hatred, bigotry, and racism. Whereas equity and equality are not interchangeable terms. The concept of educational equity goes beyond formal equality, where all students are treated the same, to fostering a barrier-free environment where all students, regardless of background, have the opportunity to benefit equally. We believe that equity must be measured by access and outcomes. Whereas Burlingame School District Board Policy 0410 outlines our commitment to non-discrimination based on gender, sex, race, color, religion, ancestry,
national origin, ethnic group identification, marital or parental status, physical or mental disability, sexual orientation, or the perception of one or more of such characteristics. While this policy addresses intentional inequities, we will not ignore the unintentional creation of inequity. We recognize there are historical and ongoing societal causes of inequity, and we are firmly committed to the success and well-being of all Burlingame children. Whereas our district data shows that not all students are achieving at their full potential, we assert that addressing disparities in educational access and opportunity are the responsibility of every adult in the Burlingame School District and not the responsibility of our children. Inequality in outcomes will be addressed through the implementation of systemic structures to support all students within our school system. Now, therefore, be it resolved, with these commitments in mind, the school board of the Burlingame School District expects that every student will be provided with equitable access to high quality and culturally relevant instruction, curriculum, support, facilities, and other educational resources, even when this means differentiating resources to accomplish this goal. Multiple pathways to success will be created in order to meet the needs of each of our students and shall actively encourage, support, and expect high academic achievement from all students uniformly. Practices and policies that lead to both the overrepresentation of students from some ethnic groups and students of low socioeconomic status in areas such as special education and the underrepresentation in programs will be critically examined and modified. All staff and students will be provided with the opportunity and education needed to understand identity with regards to gender, ethnicity, parental status, ability, religion, or sexual orientation, and the connection between identity and the disparate impact of both contemporary and historical practices in education and society as a whole on our students.
Thank you. And I think we vote on this. Do you want to move for approval?
I'll move to approve this resolution.
One second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Great. Item 13B, Matt, I believe that's you as well. This is the BIS course change, school course change, Humanities 8 to English 8 and US History 8.
Yeah, so there was I don't know if there's been a change, Mr. Principal Land has brought forward many new courses this year to really revive the energy around BIS and really promote kind of a lot of the passions that he and his staff have. So he and his staff spent a lot of time rewriting and bringing forth new course descriptions that I think will take BIS just to another level. So
I'm just here for questions.
Okay. Okay, great.
But I do want to say that, Mr. Hansel, our assistant principal, is also actively involved in a lot of these changes. So is Mr. Paveo in his interim role or pseudo role before today. Anyway.
I like the matching shirts.
That wasn't done on purpose. It's kind of funny.
Could you share just a few highlights or things that have changed that are particularly notable?
So, we are offering orchestra so that there's strings that expands our music at BIS. So I think that's important. We went a little bit into more detail in our makerspace and maker workshop, robotics. Our math lab is an MTSS. We did not have previous to this a math MTSS or and when I say MTSS, I mean multi-tiers of support. So systems where we'd have a math lab where kids could actually get assistance to make sure that they're successful either in the accelerated program or in the regular math program. So it's kind of, one of the programs that we have. We included engineering, architecture and design courses. So we have our new VAPA coming, and hopefully that can be incorporated into their repertoire. Hopefully we can hire someone who can do that. I have luck tomorrow at 8:30, so we'll see. An interview. I introduced the leadership course rather than having after school and before school be the only time that leadership be be doing work, that the kids can actually be an active elective class that they can work on. In my other school, it really included, spirit days. It included, evening events. It also included lunch competitions. It also included lunch fun. So it really is going to add to the culture of the school. We talked about digital design. Again, that's the VAPA person. Avid is something that we went to a conference on. It was amazing. It really has a philosophy, and the high school does it. Most of the high schools in the area do this. Avid is a great program to give kids who have families have not had the opportunity to college, to give them the exposure of this is what it could be. This is what you do. And it's comprehensive. It's not just, hey, look at college. It's all the things you need to do to get ready for college. These are the things that you look at. And, you know, I was amazed at the one thing that I saw at the conference was the kids from high school showing us resumes, showing us, you know, portfolios, showing us these amazing things so that they can get into college. And their parents, they would be the first ones who go to college. So that's kind of a kind of thing about Avid. So I think that encompasses most of them. If I forgot one, please just let me know.
That's great.
I just want to add, it also has US History 8 and English 8. So previously you had asked about splitting out humanities. So this actually has the course descriptions that back up.
Yeah, that was from the
Split.
last meeting, like to improve, kind of go into sync with what the high school is doing. We're doing the humanities block, and what we're doing is by 8th grade, they're doing individuals because it's getting ready for high school and what high school does.
And some
Thanks.
of this principal land was based on student interest and things that they asked about wanting to expand on their electives choices,
Yes.
correct?
Exactly.
Thank you. Questions? Yeah.
Comment?
Yeah.
Okay. I had so much fun reading these course descriptions that I would like to have the trustees come and do like a drop-in day. I want to go to all of them, but what I was really excited about was how many different connections there were to the high school level. So I thought that was really great. I know a couple kids that are in Avid at BHS, and it's been a really successful program for them, but I liked the way it backed into some of those like successful structural supports in the beginning here at BIS, where there was a lot of executive functioning skills. And I think honestly, everyone could use that, whether, you know, just we could all use that. And then I know that the architectural club at BHS is one of the most popular clubs. So I thought that was just really cool that these kids would have that exposure here and then be able to dip into that at the high school level. The digital design course for the kids and the architectural design as well for kids that might be interested in DTech. So I was really excited about what I saw here, and I know it took a lot of time and effort. So thanks for putting together such a great course load for the kids.
Thank you. Definitely group effort, just a reminder.
That's great. Comments or questions? Great. Well, I will move to approve the course changes. Item 13B.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye, 5-0. Uh, 13C, Greg, must be you and Matt as well.
Yep.
The bell schedule for BIS.
Thank you. Principal Lando has also been hard at work creating a new schedule that will, well, I'll let him present more to it, but it will add more time to go deeper in many subjects. It also provides a lot of flexibility. I think it was something that Principal Land was moving forward to, and we said go faster, and he went faster. And I think I'm a big proponent in going faster. So I appreciate the work that he and his team did towards this. And it was a team, again, you'll talk about it, but it was a team effort. So Principal Land, I know you have a presentation.
Can't see the board,
Okay.
so I don't know where we're at. So maybe the next one and the next one. I think once we get to school level input, I can start
It's
just mentioning.
instructional
There
minutes
you go.
background is the first one. Yeah.
Oh, wait,
And now we're at school level input.
okay, background, let's go back. So, I spent a lot of time last year talking to staff, parents, teachers, students, all about what the schedule looked like and what was it. And it was all agreement, including yours truly and you guys, that we wanted to increase instructional minutes. We wanted to have balanced classes. You know, we saw some flaws. We saw some things that needed to be changed. I spent a long time in a lot of the staff meetings to gather this information. So I did this not just in one meeting, not just one in coffee. You know, we did this over time. In fact, I included students in this where they were very insistent that 3 minutes is not enough time to get from one class to another. And, you know, And it was very valid in a lot of cases. So we have to take that into consideration. This is a big school. And at back to school night, I usually test the parents because they'll have to do it in like 3 minutes or 4 minutes. So including all that information, if you can go to the next slide, these things started coming up and we started kind of asking what was the history and what was important. And so really one of the major ones is balancing class sizes, because there were some huge classes and some really tiny classes, and you really want to try to balance it. Now, I will tell you, with a huge schedule like with 1,000 kids and 45 teachers, it is very difficult to balance all of the subjects and make it perfect. But over time, we're doing a better and better job. I think last year was really hard, and I think this year we still have some tweaks to do. There are some classes at 17 and classes at 45. Now, PE is 45, so don't worry, it's not any other class. But but having those balanced classes is important. And so that was one. And then the other is the instructional time. That was the second highest. And we agree that increasing instructional minutes is critical. I think last year's schedule was really short shrifting, time to be able to do things and perform in the way it was supposed to be done. The problem was trying to nail on what could be done. And we came up with one thing, and you guys pushed back and said, hey, let's try this a different way. There were some things that we tried. We had a summer committee. So there was a committee that came together in the summer and said, okay, let's really hammer this out. We tried different things, and there's certain things that we couldn't do. For example, the Ralston, I even called the Ralston principal, by the way, to talk about this and what she thought. Rotating schedules was going to be too difficult for us for a number of reasons. And we have 2 lunch schedules because we have over 1,000 kids. And so I even tried to put it into 1 lunch schedule. Ugh. It looked ugly and we didn't make it work. So we really did some practical, let's try different things. What we ended on, if you could change to the next one, what we ended on was a mixed block schedule. And a mixed block schedule is something that BHS does. They do a complete block schedule. A mixed block is still having 7 periods, but sometimes having a significant time where you can do labs, you can do large amounts of really quality work with kids. And so we're increasing minutes for 2,495 minutes, which is at least 2,495 minutes above the requirement of the state, which is 54,000 minutes. And you can see historically, are we on the right page? Yeah. That we have steadily increased, and I'm glad to see that we're back up into where we should be. Okay. Next one. So we have some commitments, because what I'm proposing and what we're going to talk about is we're going to start with the schedule that we talked about for the first trimester, but then ease in and do the block schedule right away in the second and third trimesters. The reason for this is very important in my mind, because there are groups of classes and teachers that will really struggle with this change. Some will be blessed and happy, and science and a few other departments will be like, yes, this is exactly what we needed. There will be departments that will be like, we're struggling. What are we going to do? Electives, for example, or math, for example. I think math would be easy, but some of our math teachers were like, wait a minute, we're used to this and we know this. Some math teachers are like, that's exactly what we want. IM's going to be able to be perfect. So what we're going to do is form a committee, talk about the barriers, talk about the stress points that people are having, and then come up with solutions. And what we're offering is, how do we solve for the problems with PE? Because there will be really a significant issue with PE. PE is really having 75 minutes in PE. What are you going to do with that? So we're going to be talking about what options there were. At the school that I was at had a mixed block schedule. And what they did was they divided it up between outside activity and active activity on that day. And then also talking about health in a health class almost. And it was kind of its own thing. And so if we can guide them to something like that, that will really give them that, okay, I can handle this. I can do this, make it workable. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're going to try and find solutions for people, like what's going to be a problem, what's not. And then just PD, train the student, train the teachers. What do you do for brain breaks? What do you do for being active, making sure that instruction is active rather than passive? If it's, what my biggest fear is, and I'm going to be very candid, I don't want them to say, oh, now it's a study period, because that's a waste of time. And so I want it to be valuable. I want it to be engaging. I want that big block of time to be very useful. So having them visit schools that are very successful. I mean, I come from a school that was 82 minutes of a block schedule. So it's doable. You just have to go to teachers who say, hey, this is how I've done it. This is how it's planned, and you can make it happen. So those are our commitments to make the transition over this next trimester, over this trimester, so that we will be ready for a winter block schedule, successful winter block schedule, and then the spring block schedule. So moving on, this is for trimester 1. This is the one that I had proposed originally. I want to keep with it for one trimester so that we can make some transitions. And then the second one for trimester 2 and 3, what I'll explain is a block schedule means that we're going to have a bigger block of time on 2 of the days. Tuesdays and Wednesdays will be our block schedule days. So if you look at it, Monday, you still have 1 through 7, right? Thursday, you have 1 through 7, and Friday, you have 1 through 7. So you're going through a 7-period day still on those days. But on Tuesday and Wednesday, you will have strong, big blocks of time. You'll have an even block day, which is periods 2, 4, and 6. And we'll have a closing advisory, and I'll talk a little bit about advisory, what that is. But you'll have 2, 4, and 6 on Tuesday, which is our shortened day, which again is a great success, because think about it. What we had before was a 30-minute schedule on that day. So having this done in a big block schedule, you're using the time more effectively, instructional minutes much more effectively. So then on Wednesday, you'll have the even days, 1, 3, 5, and 7. Now getting to the advisories, we cut some advisories even on our first run at it, because we didn't want to have it for every day, but we think it's important. Advisory, if you think about it, is like a homeroom. What you remember is a homeroom. Homeroom is just that, home. And we are going to start creating advisory to be more of a SEL kind of home base. The teacher will be connected. So the teacher will be a teacher that you have during the day at some point in time. So you're connected with that teacher because you already have that teacher for one period, at least. So you'll be connected with that teacher, and that teacher will do some activities with you. You will learn things. You'll play. We're even going to have advisory competitions. So if we have leadership will have advisory homeroom competitions so that the kids can connect with each other and compete against other kids during lunch times and things like that. So we have those advisory times to also just kind of watch Be at KBIS, talk about announcements, those sort of things. So it's really practical in a lot of sense. But on Tuesdays, we'll in the afternoon have some time where they can do things together, plans together, hang out together. So that is, I think, going to be really important for the culture of our school to build that. We're even working on what we call Trojan Camp. Now we know we have our inclusive students doing it, getting them exposed, but we're going to have the whole school kind of have a day and 2 days of introducing how do you do note taking, how do you advocate for yourself, you know, come up with classes that are advisory based. We're going to have them in their advisories and working their advisory. I was going to talk this through with these guys before, so I'm not going to go into too much on that, but so I want to get approval first before I go through this. But anyway, so that's kind of what we're doing with advisory. Anyway, this is the schedule. I think it's a really good schedule. It's what I've, wanted to go towards, but I am being very adamant about let's ease into it because I want teachers to be successful. I don't want to just dump them in and say, do this. I want them to say, what's your problem? Let's work on it. Let's make it work. So that's what we're going to do. All right. Anyway. Oops. That's it. I hope I can answer some questions. Be more than happy to.
Well, I will go first since I was the one pushing back maybe first. I think this is incredibly fair, and I am so happy that you came up with the idea to give the teachers some time to ease into it. I think you're totally right that it gives you time to help them figure out what their barriers are, what needs to be removed, and give them the professional development. I'm so happy for the kids, and I'm so happy for the teachers that will benefit from this. So thanks I know it was a lot of work. I know it required meetings over the summer for you and your staff. But I know, we've talked and laughed about this later on, but it's great. It's good for the kids. I'm really happy with this. So thank you.
Can I ask you some questions? So,
Absolutely.
I would imagine the schedule is impossible to get 100% on board. So I largely defer to you and Zach and the superintendent and assistant superintendent about what's best. Why is it best to make this change in the middle of the school year and not do it next year?
Some people want it faster. I can do it that way. This is how I could do it. Again, easing into change having some time to change is important. I do believe that you have to ease into it before you make it and change it. So I'm just at the direction and listening. I figured this is it's a way to make it work, and I can make it work by doing it this way.
So you feel the students can, it seems like, I mean, again, I haven't been in middle school, right? So but it just seems like an abrupt change from trimester 1 to 2 for you, for your staff, for the students, because I hear BIS parents all the time talk about how confused they are, and even going in the 6th grade parents I hear talking about, which is all normal.
Yeah.
But now it seems like it will change abruptly.
I think to be candid, this is a schedule that has been done before years ago. So it's nothing like, so teachers at least know it. I know parents and students might not know it. It is something that I wanted to go towards, so I don't have any real strong apprehensions about, not making the change. I think students will make the change. I don't think it's going to be that big of a stretch. I think, again, our starting time and our ending time is going to be the same. So really, parents are not going to be like, okay, now what? It's going to be the ending time and start time is absolutely the same. So parents don't have to stress out too much. Students will figure it out. It'll take time. Any kind of change will happen. Again, one of the reasons I don't want to do a rotating schedule is kids will forget, where do I go today? So if you're changing it day by day, that's huge. But if you're sticking with the thing, week after week, they can make adjustments. Bells run everything. So if the bells change, you listen to the bell, you go. And then we're not making any huge alterations in periods or shuffling them around. First period, now we go to second period, and once they get to the block schedule, it's even day. Don't forget it's even day, 2, 4, 6. It's odd, it's odd day, 1, 3, 5, 7. And so it's not that complicated. We're trying to keep a lot of the other stuff similar, so that's why the 7 periods stay the same for the other 3 days. That's why it's mixed block versus complete block. BHS has complete block. So they're rotating all the time.
Okay.
Every day.
I think also with the time built in for the teachers to learn, there'll be part of their planning should be and will be, how are we going to roll this out in the middle of the year? And so that everybody is on board and ready to go. So having that period of time to do all that work, it will be really, I think, help be really successful.
What's the date trimester 1 ends? So
November
15th. Yeah.
November.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So going to see other schools, how they do it, so the teachers get ideas, and then having discussion about, okay, well, how do we roll this out to the staff and the parents and the students, so that everybody's on board day 1.
I think our kids are really resilient too. Probably about 5 years ago, we had an A week and then a B week and then an A week block and then a B week block. And it was always the parents that were a little bit more nervous, and our kids came in and it was perfectly fine. So I think it's just a matter of onboarding them, letting them know, and it goes really quickly.
And I assume you got a communication plan in the first few months to
Right.
parents. And then my last questions, you've probably heard this a million times. I know there are only so many minutes in the day, but with the breaks and the lunch, is 4 minutes really? I know you said 3 minutes is enough. Is 4 minutes? Can
The
students
passing
get there?
period.
Yeah.
It's a very good question.
I just feel that I remember some of the best learnings after class. You ask the teacher a question, and I just wonder, are students full of anxiety when that bell rings, knowing they got to get to the next place?
Okay, so I'm going to be very candid. We had principal advisories, right? And in principal advisory, I opened it up and said, let's talk about what's not working at BIS. And that's how I always open every meeting that I had with either 6th grade, 7th grade, or 8th grade. And unanimously, the first couple meetings, whether they were 6th grade, 7th grade, or 8th grade, I can't get to my class. I can't go to the bathroom. I need more time. And I said, okay, what do you think? And they wanted 5 minutes. And I was like, okay, I don't know if I can do that, but I'm going to promise you that I'm going to try to increase the minutes to do what I can. And again, I think student voice is very important and student agency is critical. And so I was like, I really pushed on this too. I pushed on it with the teachers, with the schedule that you saw that we're going to do for 1 trimester. And I continued that in the second, the block scheduling. And the reason I did that is students are telling you that it is hard. Now, here's what's happened. Teachers always try to accommodate. And they said, oh, don't worry about it. I know you came from the top and da, 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 da. But again, there's that anxiety. So I figured with 1 minute, let's see where it goes. Because it was universally 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. We're saying we can't get from this class to this class. Yes, Mr. Kolaris is really nice and he lets us in, but we're really stressed out because, you know, especially so most of the advisories were kids really wanted to be there. They volunteered and I said, yeah, I want to hear your voice. And it was an eclectic group. So it wasn't just all the ones who wanted to go to college and this, it was a good diverse group. And they challenged me to say, well, let's do something. I can think of one young man who was 7th grade, will be 8th grade, who's like, but Mr. Land, this is what's going on. You have to change it. And I'm like, okay, that sounds reasonable. And are you really going to change it? I'm like, yeah, I'm really going to try. So this is my promise to them. I think going from 3 minutes to 4 minutes is critical.
Okay. And along those same lines with the 30-minute lunch, have you found Chartwells can keep up with that? Teachers are getting an appropriate break?
Okay, I'll be candid. More is better. I would like to, but I didn't want to change the beginning time and end time. And if I had been allowed to do a little bit of flexibility with that, I would have added 5 minutes to lunch. Can they get, no, but here's the thing. Amazingly, I had, when the law changed recently, I mean, from CSBA updates that, that you have to have at least a 20-minute lunch period for them to eat. I timed how much it took for the last kid to get the food, and it was 7 minutes, which means they had more than 20 minutes to eat their lunch, which was amazing. I did it one full week and even had pizza one day, and it was like, wow. 8 minutes was the highest I got. So we have a very organized system. Chartwells has a very organized system. I'll tell you this, if we change to serving with spoons, we'll never make it. But if we have them in the packages the way that they're doing it and maybe use more economically safe, ecologically safe packages rather than the black and white plastic, we'll get there.
Thanks for taking time to answer my question.
No problem. And I worry about it too. So, yeah.
Any other questions? Well, I had one, maybe this is a dumb question, but same start time, same end time. How do we find 2,500 minutes of instructional time?
So if you really think about it, the way it works is we just reorganized how we did the minutes. It's like, because you're organizing with the way we did it with block scheduling, increasing the block scheduling, we don't have as many passing periods,
Okay.
so we save time that way.
Yep.
So it's little by little, it's taking every minute. I got rid of Trojan time.
Mhm.
So Trojan time expanded the minutes as well.
Got it.
I mean, we may want to bring back Trojan time, but the way in which it was working, it was an inefficient system and not helping. And so converting it to this way, I think it becomes much more effective. So we really made efficient use of our instructional minutes.
I mean, I think that's great because you change nothing else and you give them more time in the classroom. That's obviously going to make a difference. So that's great.
Yeah.
All right, we vote on this one as well.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Land.
Thank you.
All right, item 14, we'll move to business and finance. 14A is the BCE donor Plaza resolution and donor acknowledgement.
Thank you, board. This item is a resolution that is a follow-up from the new board meeting when the board authorized staff to proceed with a BCE donor plaza. So we took all the feedback from the board and came up with a resolution, worked with BCE and Mr. Toronis is here. Since I'm Mr. Richard. Mr. Toronis is here to help us give a little bit more detail.
Sure, just a couple of quick points. Based on the direction that we received from the board in May, I think it was really critical that we sort of did a detailed dive into the exact parameters for what the donations to BCE, how that would manifest and relate to the plaza that is being planned. So for what we're now calling the BIS Phase 1 landscape and irrigation improvements that includes the donor plaza area, we developed the acknowledgement, and it's really a document for the donors, not an acknowledgement of the donors, but for the donors to acknowledge the parameters related to their donations. And I think it really crystallized in our conversations and coordination with BCE, with Jen and with Meredith, when it became clear that the donors are donating and becoming Founder Circle donors to BCE. So they're donating to BCE. They're simply being recognized in the plaza. So that, I mean, maybe that was already clear in your minds, but it really helped with me with our understanding of the acknowledgements that we need to then put in place. So we developed, some understandings to make it clear that, that donors aren't donating, quote, donating a paper. They're not donating to the plaza. They're donating to BCE. And by donating at that Founder Circle level for the endowment, they're simply being recognized. We work then through the acknowledgement document with district's legal counsel. So they had some tweaks, some pushing and pulling of the wording. We then took that back to Jen and Meredith. They gave some input and we're hoping to see some things that we could make clear with our understandings. And then we also then developed the resolution that's before you this evening. So the two documents coupled together then would form the parameters in which the donors would be recognized in the plaza. So the donor acknowledgement then would be a document that then in perpetuity would get administered by BCE whenever they want to then acknowledge or recognize a donor in the plaza when they're at that Founder Circle level. As a technical glitch, we noticed before the meeting that there is a typo in your resolution. This is on me. And as I mentioned to Marie and Kirsten, I failed to run this one by Kim at our office for a little spell check. It says to establish the BCE Donut Plaza, which I don't really know what a donut plaza is, but my fingers seem to think that there was something. So it sounds like what we're going to do is we're going to make a correction to that for the final then, Kirsten, that then would get signed and formalized. So I apologize for that typo. So that's what's before you this evening is the actual resolution then that has the accompanying exhibit for the donor acknowledgement document.
Correction. So you're asking for first and final read with this correction?
Correct. Please.
Any questions? Okay, great.
I'll make a motion to approve the BCE Donor Plaza resolution.
I'll second.
Okay.
Sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 5-0. That was me.
Done.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, thank you, Richard. 14B is the BIS Administration Exterior Shell Repair Architects Concepts and Preliminary Pricing. Richard, I guess it's you as well, right?
Yes, Mr. Taronis will give us an update on the project for the BIS admin exterior shell repair.
Yeah, thank you. So as you may recall, back in June, the board engaged CAW Architects of Palo Alto. Matt Dorman, principal, has been working with his staff and his engineers. Just to take you quick history, we did some exploratory demolition as a first course of action in order to determine, what actually is occurring and what are the conditions around various spots in the exterior of the building. That was done and completed. We found we found what we expected to find. A bit of rot in certain areas, primarily related to the brick wainscoting that's around the building, and of course, rot that's occurring around the windows and within the window system, the wood window system throughout the building. So then CAW with their engineers went forward and put together the pricing set of documents that was attached in the board exhibits that you were seeing this evening. Those documents essentially document replacing the exterior shell, peeling off the exterior stucco, replacing the windows. And we went through in a detailed walkthrough with Matt and his staff and identified how the window systems really could be tuned for the interiors of how the building is operating now, with economy in mind, to be blunt. Where could we save on some operations with the windows? And so they developed the documents. Those documents then were sent to their pricing consultant, Silva Cost Consulting. They've presented a cost estimate that is at $1.4 million. We have a construction budget that was just based on a rough estimate that we did when we were first conceiving the project of a little over $1 million. However, the cost estimate includes some wainscoting, some scope that we think can be eliminated from the project. It's not going to bring it completely back within budget that we have, so the budget would need to get adjusted. But we think we can continue to try to find some economies and do some value engineering with Matt and his team. So we are requesting permission to move forward. Now, the scope that we've talked about as a detail with Matt is to also reconsider what could happen around the entry area to the admin building. As you may know or realize or recognize that the entry is a little bit hidden. It's kind of it's on the side of the building. And so what we talked about with Matt is two things. How could we better sort of acknowledge, celebrate, and create a better entry for the building, and also just eliminate the sort of tired and difficult awning structure that's there. And we have a convoluted sort of path of travel with our accessible path through there that has a post coming down from the awning that's overhanging the building that's right there at that entry. So we would eliminate that. That's just a detail that we've asked, that I'm trying to explain, that we've asked Matt to look into as he moves forward with his design documents. So what's before you tonight is a request for permission, or excuse me, a request to accept the conceptual design and preliminary costing that has been presented by CAW, and permission to move forward into the design development documents.
Questions? Richard, did you say that the 1.48 million is we're hoping to
Come down
from
number.
there? So are we approving that as a maximum?
Correct.
At this point? Okay.
Yes,
And this is bond money, right?
correct. And so what we will do is, as we move forward, we've included in CAW's subsequent scope an updated cost model as they move into, at a 50% construction documents point, they would do a new cost model to see how we would then bring to you an adjustment to the building program budget for this project. So.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Richard, I just have, you said we found what we were expecting to find, right? So then why the cost differential? I'm just missing it, I'm sorry.
Primarily because the original scope that we anticipated didn't include some of the work around the entry, like we talked about. It didn't include all of the some of the interior work that's going to have to be related. There's going to have to be interior restroom work that's associated with the DSA processing of the project through. So, okay, so admittedly, I might have misspoke that we didn't anticipate that we were going to have to do restroom work. But in CAW's assessment of the project and going through and anticipating a DSA approvals process, DSA is going to make us revisit the single occupancy toilet room that's off of the admin area. So we're going to have to include work in that area that wasn't originally part of the scope. What I meant in terms of what we were expecting to find was the rot that was anticipated and the windows that we thought we were going to find.
Great. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye, 5-0. All right, 14C is the CalSHAPE ventilation grants. Reed?
Sure.
Yeah, so CalSHAPE has another program for ventilation. The board had approved a previous application for plumbing, so now we're going to ask to apply for the HVAC grant through CalSHAPE.
Correct. So what we're presenting to you this evening is a resolution to basically to identify who the applicants would be from the district to make the application to the California Energy Commission as part of the CalSHAPE program. Now, we fully recognize in working with the consultant that, as you may have heard, that the program has currently been suspended, the CalSHAPE grant funding program, but it is anticipated by those within the state that the program may be refunded and may may take up again. And so we want to, the way that it was put to me is the district wants to preserve its place in line because we put our application in to the CEC for the CalSHAPE ventilation grants prior to the build program being suspended. Our grant was not actually funded, but we still had that grant application in before the program was suspended. So this really is just an effort to try, again, like I said, to preserve our place in line for the potential $730,000 in reimbursement grants for the mechanical systems that we're installing throughout the district. The plumbing grants, as you may recall, those were awarded and we've actually been funded. Those were awarded to the district prior to the CalSHAPE grant program being suspended. And so that's I believe it's around 230,000 or so that is paying for plumbing fixture replacement, where we don't have high efficiency plumbing faucets throughout the district. So we have a company that will then come in and it'll be fully funded by the CalSHAPE program. They'll replace those faucets that we have throughout the district in various places at no cost to the district. It'll be funded through the grants.
But this one for the ventilation would reimburse us for work we're doing anyway. So
Correct.
it's just a gain for us if it goes through.
Correct, to try to regain the $730,000 that they've determined that we would be eligible for if the program gets reinitiated and funded.
Great. Are we voting on this one? I guess we are, right? This is a resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve the grant fund.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0.
I don't think we had to.
Thank you, Richard.
Okay, thank you.
14D is the governing board authorized signatures. Marie?
Yes, so this resolution updates the signatures that we have on file at the county for official documents. So it names the superintendent, myself, the chief business official, and our assistant superintendent of ed services as the official signers of documents for the district.
Great.
We recommend approval.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, I'll move to approve.
I'll
the
second.
signers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 5-0. 14E is the approval to solicit proposals for food service management company. This would be an RFP that we would put out to look at potentially replacing the food service management company that we currently have, which is Chartwell's. Maria, it's you as well, I guess.
Yes, we are requesting authorization from the board so that we can go out and solicit proposals for a food service management company for our child nutrition services program. The purpose of this RFP is to enter into a contract for a food service management company and assist us in, the operations of our food service program. We do currently have a contract with Chartwell's, and depending on the outcome of the RFP, which will include an evaluation rubric and a committee that will evaluate proposals. We have a timeline where we're proposing to post tomorrow and mail out and put the RFP posting on our website, have a public notice in the newspaper. We're planning on scheduling the first notice on Friday, August 16th, and then the second notice on Wednesday, August 21st. We'll have give an opportunity for potential contractors to submit questions by Friday, August 23rd, and then the district will provide answers by that Tuesday, the 27th. The deadline at this point is proposed to be August 29th, and then we will open the proposals on the same day and then evaluate starting Friday, and hopefully have a proposal and recommendation to the board at the September meeting. It's a quick turnaround, but it's open to change. This is still in the draft form.
Thank you. Any questions?
You might have just answered it because you said it's open to change, but I was wondering, I was just noticing the time between the proposals being evaluated and then awarded is pretty short, and I was wondering if any of the vendors offer tastings where you could sort of see if this is food that the kids would like.
Yes, it is a tight schedule, and again, we are open to maybe extending it. We were trying to work backwards from the next board meeting. So it is a tight window, and we did think about that in terms of how we would evaluate the quality of the food, possibly have some taste testing opportunities, and of course, checking references.
If it's possible, maybe it would be a great place to involve the kids.
Yes. Oh, I forgot to mention, yes, normally there's meal planning process, and with the current contract with Chartwells, we finally had the opportunity to work with them. We had a few students that attended the meeting and a couple of parents, and we got some really good feedback. So yes, we would include students definitely.
Before we awarded anything.
Yes, it would be part of the evaluation.
Okay.
And I think there was another part of the evaluation that maybe there's some concern about the way in which the cost was weighted more than the quality of food, but we could also change that part of the rubric as well.
And then I'm sure this is part of the rubric too, but it would be good to just keep in mind what like Mr. Land said about how everything was served with those packaging, and then how recyclable the packaging is as well.
Yes, we can include that as well.
I have a question. So it looks like, I mean, usually we come out with more money in reimbursements from government reimbursements than actually our expenses towards our current contractor, Chartwells. Could we try to match it so that we're actually, allowing them to provide higher quality meals? And while still maintaining our budget basically flat, we won't be getting the extra 10,000 or whatever we've been seeing, but it'll match. And then that actually will raise the quality, their opportunity to give the children better food.
Yes, I hear what you're saying, so that we're not having so much of a surplus, but using that towards better quality food.
Right.
Yes, that's a good point.
I have a question. At the September 10th board meeting, according to this calendar, are you planning to just present one company to us? Or so the board is gonna get a take it or leave it? Or are we involved at all in this process?
We could, well, the plan was to provide the results to the board and make a recommendation at that time. But if one or two board members want to be involved in the evaluation, we could open up that opportunity. Like a subcommittee type of a format.
Yeah, we've done that with other RFP processes, so. Is that something you're interested in, or?
No.
Okay.
I was just wondering what the process was gonna be. I can volunteer others if you'd like.
If that is, it'd be great to know, because that's a tight turnaround we'd be happy to try and make those meetings work.
Is there a reason we have to do it by September 10th and not the October meeting? Is there?
No particular reason. We were trying to put it on a fast track, I guess.
There was also, if we do go away from our current vendor, we have a 60-day release from them, and looking at a natural break would be winter break. So we were also trying to backwards map from there.
Oh,
So making it a natural break at winter break to have them leave the facility and have somebody move into the facility, so that in January, if we had somebody new come in. So having that 2-week window would be great.
you feel that'd be more efficient than putting it off to the next school year? Is that just how these contracts work?
Um,
Because we'll have a new kitchen coming online.
2 years.
Okay.
Um. We feel like we are ready to go out for an RFP
Okay.
at this point.
Um,
Yes.
I just had some general, and I think you got a flavor and already addressed this somewhat, but I have some concern about scoring the cost at 35% of the score because as Florence pointed out, we already recoup more than what we spend on this, and all the feedback that we've gotten has either been about the quality of the food or the environmental aspects of which obviously we have some trade-offs with the 30-minute lunches. We can't we're probably stuck with single service at some level, but those seem to be the two themes that I hear anyway. And particularly the quality of the food is what you hear from the kids. So I just want to make sure we don't put ourselves in a box by putting this rubric together that requires us to pick the low bid. We don't really want the low bid. We want what we can afford that provides the best food. And I'm not sure how having samples tasting would be great, but it's hard to know if that's what it's going to be like every day. So
Right.
I think that I would say if that we can do that, great, but also, the putting a little more weight on the references and recommendations, in my view, would be give ourselves more freedom to, if you have a feeling about one of the proposals and you get good feedback from some of the other clients that they have, but it's not the lowest cost. I don't want us to have to pick the lowest costs if we're going to get reimbursed anyway by the state. So, so that would be my recommendation, is to just maybe put a little bit more weight on the references and away from the costs, and I'm going to dictate what that needs to look like, or else put some provisions that give us a little more flexibility to not necessarily have to pick the best rubric score, and that may be dictated by the state. I don't know how you bid these things and procurement and all that, but let's make sure we design it in a flexible enough way that we can prioritize the quality of the food. That's my comment.
Yeah, but the good thing about the RFP is that we can build it to the district's interests. And if it's in the district's interest to put more weight on the quality, then we can do that. We're not bound to pick the lowest bidder. It's different from like construction bids where we are bound to pick the lowest bidder, but we get to evaluate and set our criteria and set our rubric.
Oh, that's good.
And it's not all based on the lowest bid.
That's great.
Mhm.
And I don't know if we need to discuss the environmental aspect of this in any detail. I didn't see anything real specific, and I know we have pretty serious constraints on, we're talking about a few dollars per meal, and it's got to be served in 7 minutes, and you got to get 1,000 kids through. So there's not going to be any way to make this perfect, but is that something we should at least ask them about, how they go about, thinking about that, even if we don't dictate how they do it, but just at least find out if there's, I don't know if it's, different materials or whatever they're doing. How are they thinking about it? I don't want to tie our hands to something that isn't going to work, but it'd be nice to at least hear what they have to say about the environmental aspects of the waste.
Yeah, sure. We can add something in there. If we have certain standards or the county or the city has certain standards, we can ask that they include something in there about that or how they would address.
Yeah, I'd say it's something open-ended, just, how do you think about it and how do you improve that over time or something like that? So that, because we do get, I hear about
Yeah, I heard.
complaints about that, and it's, you hate to see all the waste, but.
Right, I think it would be just like a sustainability score.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And then in terms of sorry, I guess is my last question, but
No.
in terms of the deadline, it is important to give the bidders enough time, because I've responded to these things in my professional life, similar type of timelines, and you do get a better response. So maybe it's plenty, but it might just be good to check in with a couple of the providers and just run it past them, or even our current folks, and just say, and they have a vested interest by having it be short, or talk to a couple of peers or something and just make sure that this is realistic, because if it's not, then we probably won't get very good responses.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Anything else?
Mm.
All right, well, I will move to approve the RFP process with, I guess with the changes that we discussed.
I'll
Does
second.
that work?
Mhm.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Thank you.
All right. 14F is the, Marla, this is you tentative agreement with BEA.
Great, so Chief Business Official Jay La Cruz and myself are bringing this forward tonight. We are very excited to bring forward our TA on a 3-year agreement with our Burlingame Education Association. Tonight, we have met agreement on terms 1.4. So we reopened Article 17, which was wages, 18, health and welfare. And we sunshined, and we will again allow to sunshine for the next 2 years with health and welfare and other articles. For tonight, we are approving professional assessment. We are going to do a subcommittee to explore best practices for tenured certificated employee evaluations, looking at alternatives to the regular principal evaluating every other year based on the last digit of the social security number, including but not limited to having tenured teachers be able to do portfolios and even look at special projects coming to the board in areas of interest. For staffing ratios, we agreed to a 24 max, 12-to-1 student to adult ratio for TK, which is the law currently, and in middle school, 24.5 for all core instructions, humanities, science, and math. TK through 5th PE and music classes will have no more than 64 students at one time. We agreed to start an MOU task force to look at effective supports for successful inclusive education in the 24-25 school year. And we will allow for, if there's any need to sunshine negotiations, to go back in 24-25 with the BEA contract. For leaves, we agreed to 10 days of illness and injury for personal necessity. Personal necessity leave cannot accumulate or carry over from 1 year to the next. So we can't continue to add your personal necessity. They turn into sick days the next year. Personal necessity days available. You cannot use personal necessity days on professional learning days. You have to call in sick. You cannot call it a personal necessity day. There's 5 days bereavement. That is a law, and reproductive loss is now aligned with California law. So if you have reproductive loss, it is considered bereavement. Salary, we are going forward with 1.5% effective July 1 and an additional 2% January 1. Outdoor education daily stipend will go up to $300. We are also offering a $2,000 ongoing stipend for anybody using their B-clad credentials, which is most typically used, and it is used in our dual language instructional classes. We're there teaching both in Spanish and in English. We are also doing a $2,000 stipend for any of our mild, moderate educational specialists and our moderate severe educational specialists, classroom teachers. And I am very excited to say that our partners for the Burlingame Education Association voted this with 100% ratification of over 100 of their members. So I have chicken skin saying that because it's a great partnership, and I'm very proud to bring that forward tonight. I'm going to turn it over to our Chief Business Official, Jay La Cruz, to review our AB 1200, which is approved by our county.
Yes, so part of this process includes submittal of a public disclosure form, commonly known as this AB 1200, which is the law that kind of governs what needs to be included in this public disclosure form. And we submitted it to the county. They reviewed it. We provided the information of how this would impact our current budget as well as our multi-year projection. And after reviewing our AB 1200, they did send us a letter, and I'm sorry, I meant to provide more copies, but here's a couple. I just kind of share the letter that we received, that they concur with our review and that the district is able to meet the required reserve for this year and the next 2 years in order to meet the settlement, the impact of the settlement agreement. Any questions about that, the budget part? And we are required to include this in our budget, so the changes will be reflected at the first interim report.
And it will include these increases for this year and flat for the following two, for purposes of the budget planning.
Yes, so since it's on the salary schedule, it will be ongoing, so it will be included in the multi-year projections.
Right, okay.
Right.
At the current levels.
At the current levels.
The new levels that after the increase.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Great. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve. What number is it?
14F.
14F.
Great. I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0. All right. Congratulations, Marla. That's a big one. All right. Moving on to administration. Section 15, item 15A is the trustee election timeline.
Great, thank you. I am excited to announce that we've had 3 different area trustees apply, and at this point, the elections office has closed, so they are all running unopposed. Coordinator Dick Takis will contact the county office elections office to find out if we need to vote, to see if we actually need to have them hold an election, or if we need to vote to see if the election needs to happen or not. That would be the next step that we need to take place. And their names are posted on the website, and so we will begin to work with them and move forward. So we're excited.
Great. Thank you.
And sad to be losing trustee Mudd, trustee Ghulam Hussein, and trustee Wong.
All right, item 15B. This one's a voting matter.
Perfect.
Marla.
Yes, okay. So tonight I am bringing forward the contract for Assistant Superintendent Matt Paveo. It shows our audience members left. The term of the contract is 2 years, 11 months. So it's from August 3rd, 2024 through June 30th, 2027. For the 2024-2025 year, the salary base is $217,560. The assistant superintendent shall receive a 3.6% salary increase every year after a satisfactory evaluation. No further salary increases are in this contract. Advanced degrees, the assistant superintendent shall receive stipends for any advanced degrees, master's or doctorate in the same manner as the extent of as any other management employees. Health and welfare coverage for the assistant superintendent and family for medical, dental, vision, and individual disability insurance. The assistant superintendent shall receive monthly allowances of $100 for transportation and $150 for cell phone usage. Rumor has it that someone didn't know that she's been paying for it. Anyway, assistant superintendent shall work 220 days, July 1 through June 30th, and be entitled to receive holidays as provided by management employees to the district. This contract will be posted on the district websites. And I just want to say that after 12 years of Mr. Paveo being the principal of Roosevelt, we're excited to be bringing this contract forward to have him join executive cabinet level at the district office. Not only do we have his wife, Tina Paveo, in the audience, and Stella and Maggie Paveo, we also have Tom and Pat Paveo, his parents, in the audience virtually watching. Very proud parents that are online watching tonight too. So I am bringing that contract forward. I think he's only coming here because he's a little bit afraid that my chili is gonna beat his chili this year.
All right, any questions or comments?
Just congratulations, Matt.
Thank
Looking
you.
forward to it.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Matt. It's been such a pleasure to watch you as a principal. You're so innovative and cherished over at Roosevelt. We're excited to see all that you can bring to the district.
All right, need a motion.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second. Sarah?
I'll second.
Sarah, second. All those in favor? Aye. 5-0. Congratulations, Matt.
Congratulations.
All right, human resources, 16A is
Oh, I have this.
declaration of need for fully qualified educators for the 24-25 school year.
Good evening, trustees and leadership team. Congratulations, Mr. Prio. It was big news in our house when the newsletter came out. I was very excited for you. I also wanted to say thank you to Renee Contos Adams, who has done the sound for us tonight and has helped out in many capacities. So I know our Lincoln Talent Show was well saved by your help last year. Critical pieces. And one last piece before I begin. Once I mentioned going to the electives, Mary and I have actually attended the dance classes with Miss Vasali, so it is possible.
Okay,
to
I'm
go.
going to architectural and design.
You absolutely should. I highly encourage it. So I'm here tonight to present our declaration of need for fully qualified educators. This is an important document that goes to the county. Right now we're proposing, and this is a document that can be updated too as we progress through our year. But we are requesting one CLAD emergency permit. We have one teacher that is working on their completing their CTELs for their CLAD for their CLAD authorization. We have 2 bilingual authorizations. And so these are for folks who we can apply it. We just learned, we're very excited. We can apply it to their internship credentials. So we have some folks who are working in our bilingual program who will be internship credential eligible and can attach a BCLAD authorization to that piece. I know it gets very technical, but it's fascinating actually once you get into it. We have a wonderful new resource specialist at Hoover who will need their resource specialist permit. And then making sure I'm covering everybody. For our multiple subject, we have one teacher, and then we also in mindfulness of one of our remaining openings also applied for 2 multiple subject permits. Special education, we have our elementary and preschool SDC classes where we are making sure that we are prepared for folks that we might interview. And then for theater, we have our VAPA coach, elementary instructional coach that is working on completing, even though they have a great deal of graduate work in their theater studies, has a little bit to wrap up there. And then in preparation for our visual and performing arts BIS teacher that we look forward to interviewing tomorrow morning at 8:30. We're making sure that we're prepared there as well. So I'm happy to ask any questions. I also want to take a moment to be very thankful. I know you haven't met her in person yet, but I have a wonderful human resources technician who is so skilled at helping me research this. And I constantly hear from the folks that are moving through the credential piece, how kind she is, how helpful she is, how knowledgeable she is, and how that is just uplifting to everyone's spirit. So I just want to take a moment to acknowledge Ariel Ray and how grateful I am for her contributions to our work.
That's great.
Great. Any questions? All right, I'll move to approve 16A, declaration of need.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 5-0. And B is the credential permits and teaching internships approval.
So I won't read this through as it becomes a slightly redundant, but we wanted to provide for you all an in-depth breakdown of who is applying for which pieces, what their needs are, where they are in their progress, what university they're studying at. And I do think this is a wonderful opportunity to share how I'm developing a lot of close contacts with our university partners all the way up and down the coast. I studied in San Diego, and so we are reaching out all the way across to make sure that we're building those relationships, that we can bring in interns, that we are welcoming and supporting folks who have a commitment to becoming a teacher and supporting them in their pathway. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have, but we just wanted to make sure that this was very clear and transparent on the folks that we're working with to get them ready for the classroom.
Great. I don't have any questions, but very well presented. I
Oh,
appreciate it.
thank you. Thank you so much. I'm excited for everybody.
I had a quick question.
Yes.
So that Reach Academy, is that the one that the County Office of Ed is doing to get people?
I'm not sure if it's
Credential.
directly connected. My understanding is, we work with them quite a bit. So we have several interns there. It's an online program and I don't know, I can find out, but I don't know if they're directly tied to County Office of Ed. They might be one of the programs that they share out because it is so accessible, especially for working folks. I wouldn't be surprised if you've seen it in your email and somehow shared on their behalf.
Yeah, there's something that the County Office of Ed is doing where they're funding like they'll pay for someone to be able to get their teaching credential. And I thought that was one of the places where they
Okay,
offer
yeah, it
that.
very well could be. I'm also excited to see, and reaching out and talking to the universities, many more folks offering bilingual authorizations as part of their credential programs. That is expanding and it's a high need. So I'm in talking with folks, I'm learning more and more about that option, which is invaluable to us.
Great. I'll move approval of 16B, the credential permits for teaching internships.
No second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 5-0. Thank you, Laura. 17, public statements related to non-agenda items. Okay. 18, board requested items. Is any? No, nothing, no one would like to add any board requested items. Okay, we have the current list here. Great. And can I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, meeting adjourned.
Oh.